In the dusty heart of the American frontier, where the sun scorched the earth like a branding iron and the wind whispered secrets through the sagebrush, Jake Harlan stood on the wooden platform of the Silver Creek station. His calloused hands clutched a faded photograph, the only tangible proof of the woman who promised to fill the emptiness of his rancher's life. Eliza Mayfield, her name etched in elegant script on the back, was due on the noon stagecoach, a mail-order bride from back east, seeking adventure and a sturdy husband. Jake had written letters for months, pouring out his soul about the lonely nights under the stars, the cattle drives that tested a man's spirit, and his dream of building a family amid the wild beauty of Montana territory. But as the coach rumbled into view, kicking up a cloud of red dirt, Jake's heart raced with anticipation. Little did he know, fate had swapped his gentle bride for a storm in human form. The door creaked open, and out stepped not the demure lady in a calico dress he'd imagined, but a figure cloaked in shadows and leather. She was tall, with wild auburn hair tangled like tumbleweeds, and a revolver holstered at her hip that gleamed menacingly in the midday light. Her eyes, sharp as a hawk's, scanned the platform before locking onto Jake. "You Harlan," she barked, her voice roughened by dust and desperation. Hake nodded, confusion knotting his brow. "I'm waitin' for Miss Eliza Mayfield." "You her kin?" The woman smirked, stepping closer, her boots thudding against the planks. "Eliza couldn't make it. Na Miss Ruby Kane. And I'm talking her place." Before Jake could protest, she drew her pistol, not to threaten, but to point it skyward, firing a warning shot that scattered the few onlookers. "Now, let's ride. We got trouble on our tail." Jack's whirl tilted like a bucking bronco. It was no stranger to hardship. Orphaned young, he'd scratched out a living on his modest ranch, herding cattle through blizzards and droughts. But this? An armed outlaw claiming his bride's spot? Reluctantly, he saddled his horse and led Ruby toward his spread, 10 miles out under the vast Montana sky. Along the way, she spilled her tale in fragments, like bullets from a chamber. Ruby was no ordinary bandit, she was Eliza's half-sister, raised in the saloons of Kansas City after their ma died young. Elisa, the proper one, had answered Jake's head in a matrimonial gazette, dreaming of escape from poverty. But on the trail west, their coach was ambushed by the notorious Blackthorn gang, outlaws Ruby once rode with, before she turned against them for killing innocents. In the chaos, Eliza was wounded, left for dead in a remote trading post. Ruby, guilt-ridden and on the run, had taken her sister's papers and vowed to reach Jake, hoping to honor Eliza's wish while evading her former comrades. As they crested a hill overlooking Jake's ranch, a humble cabin flanked by corrals and a bubbling creek, Ruby's tough facade cracked just a hair. "I ain't here for romance, cowboy. You'st need a place to hole up till the heat dies down. Then I'll be gone." Hake, ever the quiet observer, nodded. He'd seen enough of life's cruelties to recognize pain behind bravado. That night, over a supper of beans and cornbread by the fire, he shared his own scars. "Lost my folks to fever when I was knee-high. Ranchin, ain't they just work, it's survival. But I figured a good woman could make it mean something more." Ruby listened, her fingers tracing the grip of her gun. For the first time in years, she felt seen, not as a threat, but as a soul adrift. Days blurred into an uneasy rhythm. Ruby helped with chores, her quick draw scaring off coyotes that had the calves, while Jake taught her to mend fences and tend the garden. She was fierce, cursing like a mule skinner when a post splintered, but beneath it lay a vulnerability that tugged at Jake's heart. One evening, as thunderheads gathered, an unexpected turn shattered their fragile peace. A rider appeared on the horizon, scout for the Blackthorn gang, sniffing out Ruby's trail. She bolted to the barn, grabbing her rifle, ready to fight alone. But Jake, unarmed and unyielding, stepped in front. "This is my land. You want her, you'll go through me." The scout laughed, drawing his weapon, but Ruby's shot from the shadows winged him, sending him fleeing. In the aftermath, as rain poured down, Ruby collapsed against the barn door. "Why'd you do that? He ain't worth dying for." Hake knelt beside her, rain mingling with the tears she fought back. "Everyone's worth something, Ruby. Even outlaws with hearts of gold buried deep." That confrontation sparked a profound realization for both. Hake saw in Ruby not a replacement, but a mirror of his own resilience. Someone who'd clawed through darkness without losing her spark. Ruby, for her part, glimpsed the power of quiet strength, how Jake's simple acts of fairness had tamed wilder beasts than any gun. But the gang wouldn't quit. Whispers from town spoke of a posse forming, Blackthorn himself leading the charge. As nights grew cooler, Jake and Ruby fortified the ranch, boarding windows and stockpiling ammo. Yet amid the tension, moments of humanity bloomed. Ruby confessed over whiskey by the hearth, Eliza was the good one. He ran with Blackthorn to survive, but when he killed a family for their gold, I couldn't stomach it. Stole back what I could and lit out. Hake shared his secret shame, a failed cattle drive years back that cost his best friend his life, leaving Jake racked with guilt. We all got shadows, he said. But we choose the light. The emotional climax crested on a crisp autumn dawn. All fiats echoed like war drums as the Blackthorn gang descended. 5 hardened men, guns blazing. Ruby stood on the porch, rifle steady, prepared to die defending this unexpected haven. Jake joined her, shotgun in hand, though he'd never killed a man. Bullets splintered wood, a graze tore Jake's shoulder. In the fray, Blackthorn cornered Ruby, his snare twisting like barbed wire. You betrayed us, girl. Dime the pay. As he raised his pistol, Jake lunged, tackling the outlaw leader to the ground. They wrestled in the dirt, fists flying, until Ruby fired a shot into the air, halting the chaos. But instead of finishing Blackthorn, she lowered her weapon. Enough blood, she declared, her voice breaking. Take your men and go. He ain't like you no more. Blackthorn, bloodied and stunned, spat defiance but saw the fire in her eyes, and the unexpected mercy. Jake, panting, added, there's a better way. For all of us. In that moment of compassion, Blackthorn's second in command, a young kid no older than 20, threw down his gun. She's right, boss. Dis ainte living, punto. One by one, the gang wavered, then retreated, leaving behind a silence heavier than lead. As the sun climbed, painting the ranch in golden hues, Jake and Ruby tended wounds by the creek. The act of generosity, sparing lives that could have ended theirs, transformed them. Ruby realized selflessness wasn't weakness, it was the ultimate strength, forging bonds stronger than steel. Jake discovered that love wasn't scripted in letters but born in shared trials. Word spread through Silver Creek of the cowboy and the outlaw who turned back again with mercy, inspiring whispers of hope in a lawless land. Ruby stayed, not as a bride, but as a partner, her past redeemed through acts of kindness that rippled outward. Years later, under the same vast sky, Jake and Ruby sat on their porch, watching their adopted children, orphans from the frontier, play in the fields. Elisa, recovered and forgiven, had visited, blessing their union. The ranch thrived, a beacon of humanity where strangers found shelter and second chances. In the end, it wasn't guns or gold that conquered the West, but the quiet power of compassion, proving that even in the wildest hearts, hope could take root and bloom eternal.